Is Auburn done in the transfer portal?
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. It's a special day. Not only is it Charlie Tuesday, happy birthday to the real Charlie, my child. Happy birthday to you. So when you watch this in several years from now, and you'll be stoked. But Charlie 5 is here as well. Happy Charlie Tuesday to all who celebrate. Of course, he is the host of the Top Button podcast and the Auburn message board legend himself. Coming up in the show, Hank Brown, Auburn quarterback, joins the show. Ask him a lot about offseason stuff, about how he watches film and the RPO offense, what exactly that means. Super interesting stuff. But Charlie 5, like it seems like Auburn is close to being done in the transfer portal. I mean, it has just been silent across the board over the last several days as far as guys that they could be reaching out to.
Yeah, Hugh said at the regions and a couple other events that he spoke at that, I may be looking at adding one linebacker and maybe one DB if they were to pop up. And obviously he was talking about Khalil Jacobs from South Alabama. Not really sure who the DB is, but now Khalil sort of shut things down after he visited Auburn. He canceled some visits, and now he's starting to set visits back up again. So it almost makes me think, could they not get it worked out? Is it not going to end up working out at Auburn? Because it looks like he wanted to be here, but for whatever reason, there seems to be some kind of impasse. Obviously, they could flip the switch tomorrow maybe and get it fixed, but it does seem like there may be something there that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and not a position that I think they really need for this year, but we've talked about the need for juniors. Like you'd love to have a situation where you'd have somebody that's a role player, a depth piece, maybe a tail end part of the rotation, and maybe they get more playing time over the course of the year. Then next year they have a chance to start because Auburn's top heavy at a lot of positions. Linebacker is one of them. So you would have loved Jacobs to come in and back up Eugene Asante and then maybe even play some DBs in certain situations. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I don't think it's devastating. Does it make you better? Sure. You got what we all think it's 6 scholarships to give. You might as well fill them. But if it doesn't work out, I don't think it's the end of the world. No,
like you said, there's 79 spots in the era of the transfer portal. I just don't see many teams having more than it's just be really hard to have more than 81, 82 scholarships in general, just because so many kids want to play now. They want to get out there. They don't want to wait. Yep. Understandably so, because my God, at all the options you can have now, if you could look at every depth chart in the country and find the best place to fit. So I get it on that. I get it from that end, but it's going to be tough to fill 85 scholarships every year in general. So there's about to be a bunch of walk-ons. Towns Magoo, I got my eye on you. About to get a raise, my man. I
think my guy needs a scholarship at this point. Good for him. Good for him. And,
he didn't come here for like nothing. Like I know he was a walk-on. He's titled a walk-on. Like they had to make that NIL little deal.
Well, wasn't that the big drama because Ole Miss was going to offer him a scholarship, and then they got him to stay here.
So you kick 7 field goals in spring game, and then, now you get the scholarship, and then it's not like they can just take the NIL away. So you just got like a double dipping, but he's worth it. He's worth it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'll have too many kickers. That's great. That's 100% fine. No, but you're right. I mean, with everybody wanting to play right away, I think it kind of brings some perspective of how good of a job they've done with this, because a year ago we probably would have been able to play right away.
Right.
But a lot of the guys they've brought in, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Robert Lewis, like those guys probably are going to play right away. They need to. They're out of eligibility after this year. Like Sam Jackson, I don't think he's going to be a huge impact, but he's got time. I think he'll play more 2 years than he will this upcoming season. And then with the defensive line, I think it's interesting because all these guys are in a similar spot eligibility-wise that they brought in this offseason. Gage Keys, Carter, Philip Bleedy, Isaiah Rakes, it's like not all of them are going to be starters. You just can't. It's not possible.
Exactly.
And then I guess the best example with Kieran Crawford, like you pitched him like you're not going to be the dude, but you will be next year, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And that pitch wouldn't work everywhere, but for some reason they've been able to pull that off this year, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, you've brought in 14 guys so far, and really, maybe Rico Walker and the last guy we just added, Ronan Chambers. Those may be the only guys that you've brought in that probably aren't going to play significant snaps this year. You know what I mean? And Ronan may not play hardly anything outside of special teams, but like,
careful, people are going to get mad when you say that. They got really mad at me.
The difference is I still think it's a good addition, and it makes sense to have somebody like that. But like everybody, like you said, everybody's going to be playing. So who would you add right now? Who could you add right now from a scholarship 80 through 85 that would actually make an impact? Like what position would
make
you
an impact in 2024?
Yeah, in 2024. I don't know. I think anybody you add, you're looking at possibly it's all future stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you.
And then how much quality of that is out there?
Yeah, maybe strong side defensive end in a perfect world, but is that out there? Is there a guy that's better than a Morris Williams right now? Is like probably not. Probably not. Like you take the lumps of a Morris Williams being a freshman, and it's like, okay, we'll grow with him. My camera's out of focus. And then tight end, not an impact on this year. Yeah, rub it in.
I thought for sure it was my internet. I thought just 100%.
No, it's not your internet. It's my camera. I don't know what happened. As far as just like depth on the roster, I wouldn't mind getting a junior tight end. Like I wouldn't hate that. But
yeah.
Like, are we good long term with Micah Riley and Rico Walker being our guys at tight end next year? Are we okay with that? Or are they going to go out and get a portal addition in December?
I think they are. I think they
They might be. Yeah.
I think Rico definitely made an impression this year, and Micah, I think, was one of the ones you were kind of worried about maybe possibly going into the portal, but they've shown him his packages and things like that, how he fits in moving forward. So I think they're comfortable with those two guys, and I think I'm comfortable with those two dudes are beasts.
I'm with you. I'm just asking the question because it's not just Micah Riley and Rico Walker. Then you'll have Ryan Gee that'll be there, or Ryan G. I think it's pronounced like the letter. Ryan G.
I think you're right.
So you'll have two juniors and a true freshman. Like you do need more than that. Like I think you need another tight end. So I do think they'll add one in December. So it's like, would you rather just go ahead and add one now or wait until December and possibly get a better one?
I think what you probably do is they're looking at this kid from California, Caleb Edwards. You maybe go in this highly rated 4-star guy and like, look,
he's good. Yeah.
All we got is two juniors. We're going to add you and Ryan, and that's going to be our tight end room. We're going to be young, we're going to be talented, and we're just going to get after it.
Do you think that has anything to do with why the other guy decommitted?
I think it probably has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are not that far separated from him. You know what I mean? So it's multiple years of sitting. And like I said, the reports of both of those dudes having big springs. Of the two, Ryan and Hollis wasn't enough of a difference of type of player. They were too similar. Like they didn't really bring, like Hollis didn't really bring another aspect.
Yeah.
He was a little bit better of a receiving threat, but they were both really those Luke Deal, Brandon Frazier type tight ends. And we really need somebody a little bit more explosive. You got to have one like that. But I think both of them kind of looked at each other and were like, okay, we're kind of the same dude. Somebody's going to be the odd man out. And Hollis has other good offers that he could go take. So I think that's probably why they went ahead and split it up.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm excited about the idea of Micah Riley and Rico Walker possibly being on the field at the same time. I mean, that's a lot of athleticism, that's a lot of man coming at you.
100, a lot of big athlete that will moss you. You know how I am about 50-50. I want that's two big old bodies to go up and get some 50-50 balls.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We'll talk with Auburn quarterback Hank Brown in just a second. Charlie 5, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Absolutely. Find me on Twitter at @the_Charlie_5, the Locked On Auburn Discord every single day, or Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Top Button Podcast.
Hank Brown joins us in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets for whatever event you could possibly dream of. If it's sports, they got it. If it's the theater, they've got it. Comedy, doesn't matter what it is. Game Time has you covered, and they've got so many different features within the app. The best to me is the all-in pricing. It's not like, we've all seen the memes where it's like you pay, okay, it's $20 for a ticket, and then you get to the checkout and it's like $80 something because you got to pay the fees and the taxes and all that. Game Time, it actually shows you what you're going to be paying, which I think is awesome. So head over, download the free Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege. It's all one word, LOCKEDONCollege, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Auburn quarterback Hank Brown hanging out with us for a few minutes here. The offseason is firmly here, Hank. So just kind of give us a peek behind the curtain. What is it that you guys are working on right now? What does that look like for folks who may not be aware?
Yeah, so we get a few weeks off in the month of May. We report back, start back up the 28th of May, and so this time is on us to be getting better. And so for me, a few things that I've been doing during this free time, and I wouldn't really consider it free time.
Sure.
I'm trying to obviously work as hard as I can during this time, so I'm not set back when I get there. But our strength staff gives us workouts that we should be doing during this time, and then I also have a personal trainer that takes a look at those and kind of throws his own thing in there along with what we're doing. And so I've been blessed to be able to be working out with him and doing these workouts, and then as well as just staying in my playbook and getting ready for when we get back.
As a quarterback, are you trying to throw every day, or is it the balance of making sure, you don't overuse that shoulder because you're using it a bunch throughout the year? What does that balance look like for you?
Yeah, there's definitely a balance. I think it matters a ton not overusing it. But also, I'm using this time off, and I call it time off. It's not time off, but
Sure.
I use this time to really work on my mechanics and just get those little mechanical errors out of the way. So I'm fine-tuned for this summer. But I think that, one thing that I've been doing is, as a quarterback, when you're training and you're working those mechanical things, you don't always have to be necessarily throwing a football. And so, working your lower body and lower extremities to help with that is a big part of what I'm doing. And so, as well as throwing and obviously working on timing and all those different things. But I think a big thing is just working on those lower extremities to just fine tune my mechanics.
Sure. So what's the perspective of the quarterback and really the quarterback room? I assume you guys talked internally about this, maybe not, but you see all these stories about Auburn pursuing, the top transfer portal wide receiver. And then it sounds like, oh, okay, well, he's going somewhere else. Then last second, he pivots back, commits to Auburn. Of course, we're talking about Keandre Lambert-Smith here, but you guys have to light up. Be like, oh my goodness, we get yet another massive target to throw to. What's that like?
Yeah. I mean, just like you said, for me personally and all the other quarterbacks for sure, just lit the room up for sure. When we get a guy like that, in that time window, just to add on to what we already have, it's special, and it changes our offense as a whole. And so, there's no better news than hearing that the top portal receiver is coming to Auburn. It just puts a huge smile on your face, just knowing that he's another guy that you're gonna be able to throw touchdowns to. And so, that just excites me, and it should excite every Auburn fan.
Yeah, I mean, since you've been here, the wide receiver room has totally changed. I mean, even the tight end room to some extent has totally changed, and even the folks who were here when you got here, it seems like they've taken a step forward even in this past year. I mean, you look at a guy like Camden Brown from last year to this year. He really impressed me throughout spring and at 8A. And it sounds like he's impressed a lot of your teammates as well. But then they go out and get, so many transfer guys. We've talked about how impressive this freshman class is. And Perry Thompson's not even here yet. Malcolm Simmons isn't here yet. And it's just as a quarterback, I mean, I say this all the time, talking about you and Peyton and Holden and Walker. This coaching staff, Hank, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like they've done such a good job of making playing quarterback at Auburn easier now than it was a year ago with everything they've put around you guys.
100%. And I think it speaks volumes to all the coaches, but especially Coach Freeze, as he's shown in his past that he's been able to recruit and coach very talented receivers. And so, obviously having all these guys from the portal, this freshman class, it's just special. And it 100% helps our job as a quarterback, just knowing that we have these guys around us and these guys who are able to make these big time plays for us.
Sure. So how often are you watching film during the offseason? How much of this is prepping, for the upcoming season? How much of it is physical and how much of it is mental for you, Hank?
Yeah, I think if I were to put a percentage on it, I think this time window that I'm in right now, the film percent wouldn't be as high as it would be when we're actually practicing, if that makes sense. Because obviously, I think, there's different, it changes throughout the year. And obviously during the season, that percentage of time watching film is a lot more than any other time throughout the year. But I think definitely when we're practicing, I think that percentage of watching film is probably up to 60, 70% of our time. You could argue more or less, but I think now, it's still a big project that we need to be investing in. And I think more of it right now is watching, my mechanics with who I train with. And that's something that is very beneficial. But I also think for me, watching NFL quarterbacks and watching older quarterbacks that I look up to and really want to model my game after. And so those are the type of things that I'm watching film on for right now.
Who are some of those quarterbacks that you enjoy watching and kind of saying, hey, I'm going to try to take this from him and this from him?
Yeah, I think an easy one that is, I obviously love to watch film of Tom Brady but my favorite thing about him is how fast he gets the ball out.
Did you watch his roast, Hank?
I have not gotten time to watch that yet, but I'm planning.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
I've watched like the first half of it. I mean, I'm watching it in chunks. It's pretty long.
Okay. Is it good? Is it worth watching?
Yeah, it's pretty vulgar, but it's tough to get. Okay. I can't watch it until my kids go to bed. But yeah, no, it's it's good. But yeah, I mean, I'm a Pats guy, so I'm glad that you said Brady 100%. I mean, nobody got the ball out quicker, both as far as the throwing motion and just like into the play. I mean, he helped his offensive line a ton, just getting rid of the football.
For sure, and that's more of kind of what I watch is not necessarily how fast his release is, but from the time he catches the ball to the time he gets the ball out, that's what I'm really inspired by. And then just the mechanics of a guy like, Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford. I think I just like watching, Joe Burrow and different guys like that, just taking little things from their game that I can implement into mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it. I knew you were going to say Tom when I asked you that, which is the right answer, right? I mean, he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Pretty good, for sure.
Yeah, because my next question about the film stuff was going to be, do you spend more time watching yourself or like other people? And by that, I would have meant either like other quarterbacks or like some of the defenses that you guys are going to be playing against this year.
Yeah, I think, I think that's one of those, like in the off season, it's more of ourselves and other quarterbacks. And once we get to the season, it shifts to more of defense. And I think like even this spring, putting in this new offense, right? We're focused more on, the super small details of what we need to be getting better versus necessarily focusing on how to beat our defense, and that definitely shifts when we get into the season of how do we defeat this defense.
Yeah. We'll continue our conversation with Hank Brown in just a moment. You're listening to Locked On Auburn. So I'm going to ask this. I think it's a misconception, and you please tell me if I'm wrong. But so when so many people talk about Hugh Freeze's offense and the RPO elements of it, they assume that as a quarterback, you need to be able to run. And I think some people are saying that because of the success he's had with Malik Willis. Peyton was obviously a really effective runner a year ago. Is that the case with the RPO, or is it more you're reading one specific thing and the run part, the R part of that can also just be a handoff?
Yeah. So, I think it definitely depends on the type of RPO. Like there are different types of RPO, but you're 100% correct where, the run part of the RPO can be a handoff. It's not necessarily the quarterback running. And so, I think one thing that, our coaches have talked to me about a bunch is like, hey, listen, the offense can change. They can manipulate the play calling and whatever it is based on the quarterback that's in the game. And so that's something that is music to my ears for sure. And I think Coach Freeze has definitely gotten that across to me. And so, like you're saying, it doesn't have to be a big part of the game. It can be, and that can help based on a defense that we're playing necessarily that game. But definitely the run part can just be a handoff. It also depends on kind of the different RPO that we're running.
It's got to help too that, I mean, it seems like the four quarterbacks, you guys all kind of have similar strengths and weaknesses. When last year, Robbie was in the room and Robbie was probably the best runner. I don't think that's a stretch to say he was the best runner of all of you guys. I mean, as far as like, I'm just thinking from a coach's perspective and a playbook perspective, is like you don't really have to change it up that much, regardless of what quarterback is in. Is that advantageous, or do you kind of want guys who are good at different things?
No, I think that's very advantageous. I think that's very accurate, and I think the coaches definitely like that. That they don't have to drastically change, kind of like last year. That it was just a totally, almost you could say, a completely different playbook. Based on the quarterback that was in. So I think that's definitely admirable for the coaches to see that within our room.
Sure. Hank, your goals over the next few weeks until we talk again. What do you think those would be?
Yeah, I think some small goals is, I'm trying to put on a few more pounds, some good weight, and just grinding in the weight room to get there. From a mechanical standpoint, one of my goals is just shortening my front step, just to become a little bit more quick and twitchier with my throw. And I think those are the two main goals. And then, I think my third goal would just be, just really getting in this playbook and diving in. And I think when I get back to campus, I'm going to, this summer is going to be an awesome time to just start truly building relationships with these guys in the team, and especially these new guys coming in. So I'm super excited to get to meet these guys and grow closer with the team.
Hank, we have a few listener submitted questions. Do you mind answering a few of them?
Yes, sir. I'd love to.
All right. If you weren't a college football player, would you have tried to play another collegiate sport?
I would probably have tried to play basketball for sure. Yeah, I think I would definitely play basketball. I've always
you played in high school, right?
Yes, sir. I played all the way till my senior year, and that's why I didn't graduate early, because I was still playing. So I think, yeah, I would love to try and go for hoops.
All right. At what point in your recruitment did you realize you wanted to play for Coach Freeze?
At the end of my junior year, I got to go down to Liberty and meet with Coach Freeze and Coach Austin, and at that point, when I got to see the environment and culture that he had rolling there, I was like, wow, this is different. And
Sure.
Just being able to talk to him and kind of learn how he thinks and his perspective on things, I was like, yeah, he gets it, and I want to play for him for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How quick after he got the job at Auburn did he call you? Was it pretty quick? It had to have been somewhat quick.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty quick. And, there was a quarterback already committed here at the time, and he had to say, "Hey, Hank, I need you to just hold on for me for a second." And he had to get some things, and then, he was able to offer me and
Gotcha.
get me to Auburn. So,
Got it. Last one. What's the farthest you've ever thrown a football?
that's a great question. I don't have an exact answer, but probably in a game, I'd say.
No, not in a game. Not in a game.
Not in a
Just
game.
like messing around. If we went out there and it's like, Hank, how far can you throw it? You get 3 attempts. How far do you think you could get it?
I'd say 60 yards for sure. That'd be my guess. Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty far.
55 to 60.
Sure. All right. All right. Hank, thank you so much for your time as always, man. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much to Charlie 5. Thank you so much to Hank Brown. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We will see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.